Welcome back, guys. Gang, 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 gang. Welcome back to another episode of Higher Being Society, where we are constantly learning new things and on this journey of elevating to our highest self. This is your safe space where you can light one up, light a candle, or do whatever you got to do to get comfortable, to relax, so we can open our minds and our hearts so we can learn together and grow together. So today we are in for a special treat. This conversation is going to get really good with a very, I would say famous person, Matty J himself. He is super popular all over social media. You might have known him as CEO Matty J. If you were on Clubhouse, when Clubhouse was booming, he was going crazy, dropping gems over there. So I know today he got us in for a major treat, y'all. So before we get into that, make sure you go ahead and click the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed to the channel, so you do not miss out on any episodes. You know, these guys are dropping every Wednesday, but we want you to make sure you are catching all of them. So go ahead, subscribe, like, comment on your favorite episodes, tell me what you want to see more of, and share these videos and clips with all of your friends so we can continue to elevate together. Okay?
What up, what up, what up? What's going on?
What's going on? How are you? Okay, I'm already recording, just so you know, on my end. Welcome. Welcome,
I like the setup. Okay.
You see
Looking real. Yeah, Shay.
We're cooking up heat all 2022. All right, they ain't ready. Without further ado, guys, I definitely want to invite you. Thank you for coming on to Higher Being Society, but I want to introduce you to our audience. You guys, if you do not know who CEO Matty J is, you have been under a rock. Okay, I don't know where you are. This guy is everywhere. Like I said, he's been killing it from Instagram to Clubhouse to every podcast, all your favorite podcasters that we've been having him on, because he's always dropping major gems. And I can't wait to welcome and introduce you guys to Mr. Matty J.
Appreciate that. I love the warm welcome. I love the fact that you said you was gonna run this play and you're running it.
I'm running
podcasting, interviewing, it's definitely you for sure.
Yeah. Look, all I needed was a team, Matty. I done built the team out and now we rolling.
Let's do it. I love it.
Thank you so much for coming on. For those of you people who don't know who Matty J is, like I said, they must be asleep. But could you please introduce yourself formally? Let them know all the different hats that you wear.
Yeah. Real simply, generally speaking, I do business development and personal development. And over the last, I want to say 10 years or so, I've been heavy on the digital side of business development. So online stores like e-commerce, any type of online business I've been able to tap into. But my real passion is helping other people with their businesses, because I really like to be resourceful. I like to use structures and systems and processes and my natural gifts to help people take their business to the next level. And some of the successful businesses that people might be aware of, 2 Chainz and I did a business in 2015 called the Dabbing Santa. It was the first ever viral T-shirt brand on Instagram. It went crazy. All the celebrities, influencers were wearing it.
I got one in my closet.
Yeah, we ended up making $3 million in less than 60 days. Wow. Yeah, it's a crazy story. But yeah, those are some of the things I do right now. I'm in the car rental space. I rent out high-level exotic cars, but most importantly, I teach you how they can do it too. So that's where I'm at right now.
You are, and I like to call you like the CEO of course instructors. Like you're helping everybody I know monetize their gifts and figure out, like pinpoint what their gifts are, creating those systems so they can monetize them, and just helping retrain their brain and get them ready to monetize and benefit off of their God-given talents.
You feel me?
Yeah, because that's a gift in itself.
We all look for like new plays and new opportunities. I realize in our experiences allow us to be packaged, and we can turn our experiences into a business, turn our passion into cash.
What taught you that? Like, what did you go through to realize, wait, I can actually get paid off of the things that I've experienced?
I mean, everybody's experienced it. If somebody did something remotely Successful. And success obviously has its own definition for different individuals. But for me, success is doing what you say you're going to do. That's what success means to me. So if you do what you say you're going to do and somebody is struggling to do what you actually did, they're going to ask you how you did it. And if you do it at a high level, they're willing to pay you for it. And they'll let you know, yo, I'll pay you to sit down with you for an hour, 2 hours to learn everything, to execute. I want to pick your brain. I want to pay. That happens naturally, right? So as I was being consistent with doing things that people wanted to do, the opportunity just presented itself to be able to say, okay, let me turn my experience, let me document what I did, package it up, and then share it. But here's the thing, this concept is not new. People do it in the form of a book. They have an experience, they call it a story, they tell it a story, add chapters, pages, cover art, do the photo shoot, put it in Barnes and Nobles and sell it. They're just packaging their experiences, but now it's gone digital. So we're not. So some of us don't want to write books no more. We want to get in front of the camera. We want to get in front of a video. We want to get on audio, whether it's podcast, and we want to be able to tell our story, share our experience, our knowledge via those platforms. And people, especially during the pandemic, have realized the importance of self-development and personal development. And anybody who's willing to teach the game, there's multiples of people willing to hear and pay for it.
No,
so that's
sure.
what I'm trying to encourage people to do.
And if you out there and you trying to figure out how can you monetize your journey and your experience, Matty is definitely the guy to motivate you and give you the blueprint. Because even I was like, I don't know. Matty was like, sis, you sleep, okay? Because you got the juice. You just need to document it and show it. So thank you, Matty. Right. I just want to thank you publicly for putting that fire up under me a couple months ago. And it took a minute. I was sleep on myself. But now, like I said, I built the team out and I'm rolling now.
Yeah, when you got the team, you can start. Speed is like
the major thing I was missing. I couldn't scale and I was constantly being burnt out because I was trying to do it all myself. And I'm like, bro, I can't be in the places that I need to be and doing the behind the scene work that I need to be doing because I'm tired. I'm only one person.
That's a fact.
So yeah, but you talk about monetizing your experience now, but now I see you on social media talking about monetizing even our gear, like our flyness and monetizing all these brands. Like, tell me about that play. How does that work?
Everything. Me being in the car rental space and even renting out my condos on Airbnb, it opened my eyes to realizing that a lot of things that people consider liabilities can actually be assets. They can be opportunities for us to not just spend, but actually generate income from. So when I started car rental space in 2017, I was so used to paying for my car, but then I realized that now the car pays me. So I was like, all right, how can we use this concept for other things on our line items of expenses? So I'm looking at my account, all right, I spent a lot of money on clothing, right? I mean, 6 figures a year at some of these stores. And of course,
that's a lot of this.
So how do I make this make sense? I like to be fly. I like shopping. How do I make it make sense? And I realized that I can monetize my clothes, my closet. I can do a couple of things. I can rent it out to other influencers, artists, rappers for music videos. I can monetize my clothing by doing what's called unboxing videos on YouTube, right? There's so many ways that people that aren't pulling it together. Well, at least some of the men. A lot of women do that all the time when it comes to renting out their bags and heels and purses, but a lot of these fellas aren't running that play. So we'll buy $1,000 shirt, wear it once or twice, and it'll be in the closet, just sitting there doing nothing. I'm like, no, I ain't gonna make sure. I want to turn this into an asset. So I built a network of individuals who actually can afford the shirt, but doesn't want to actually keep buying because it's hard to keep up, right? They can afford it, but they don't want to be able to be spending thousands of dollars every week looking fly. So why not rent it for $100? I typically charge 10% of retail. Why not rent it, the latest line, the latest season collection, rent it and return it when you're done, right? So those are the plays that we run. And then not only do we rent it, we sell it. So we sell our clothes. I sell my clothes on different platforms like Grailed, Poshmark, eBay. And a lot of these clothes actually sell for higher than what I actually purchased them for them used, right? It's crazy. And that's the play I'm running right now. And I'm letting people know that they can do it too, that everything can be an asset.
That's crazy because, like you said, a lot of those luxury brands, they don't make a lot of those pieces. So that's why they going for the high after you done already wore them, because it's a limited edition or you can't get them no more. Or think about how Louis Vuitton collabed with Virgil, right? And then Virgil just recently passed unexpectedly. All of his, I bet you, all of anything that's Louis Vuitton and Virgil collection is probably 2-3 times worth now more than it was when you bought it a year or two ago, because of just the recent events. You know what I mean? So you just never know. But you always have like a playmaker mindset, right? Like you always looking for the play in anything, and even with everybody that you work with or touch with. Like, what gave you that playmaker mindset? Have you always been somebody that just could see the monetization and things, or did something happen, or a mentor? Like, what made you become that type of person?
I think all the above, to be honest with you. But if I was to put a pinpoint on one of the major things, is that a playmaker, a true playmaker, they love human beings. They love other people. We love helping other people, adding value to them. And we know how to spot opportunities way more than other people who don't care about other people. Like, if I don't care about somebody, I'm not looking for an opportunity to please them. I'm not looking for an opportunity to serve them. So when I had when that mindset was activated, right, of dang, I really enjoy helping others. I really enjoy aligning my self-interests with public interests, right? I really enjoy all that, but how can I do it at a high level? It's about being really intentional about it. So it wasn't just a hobby for me to help. I wanted to be intentional, to the point where when I walk in a room, the first thing I ask myself mentally, I tell myself, why am I here? That's the first, and I walk in the room, it's a trigger. As soon as I see the door frame, I'm asking myself, why am I here? Who am I supposed to serve? Who am I supposed to connect with? Who am I supposed to be able to receive something from? And that type of mindset opened up so many doors for opportunities that anybody else could have tapped to, but they just couldn't recognize it because they have their blinders on, because of the mindset. My mindset opened up my eyes to recognize things that other people don't. So it's just a domino effect now, to the point where anything, whether it's brand new, like these NFTs and crypto, I'm able to tap into it really quick because I'm leveraging relationships that I've built over the years. And the reason why I built these relationships is because I've been adding value. So I get to go through the crash course of every new business product that exists because these relationships.
No, for sure. And speaking about relationships, I always say from relationships flow resources. So you got to build those relationships. Tell me about like one of the most pivotal relationships that you built in the beginning of your career that you feel like, dang, like I could definitely see that one I leveraged that one relationship and it took me so far.
Right. I mean, it's been a lot. I ain't gonna lie. I know a lot of high level people. But when in the beginning stages, I think outside of my intermediate family relationship, my intermediate family was my mentors, my two mentors, Will Bradley and Jason McGill. I ended up living with them in Vegas while I was building one of my brands. And they exposed me, specifically Jason McGill, exposed me to tech. Like, you know how we talk about tech in San Francisco, the Bay Area, and that specific world where everybody's working on softwares and technology and stuff like that, where all these social media platforms were created. He came from that world. I didn't know nothing about that world. All I knew was party promotions, lifestyle, you know, our culture. He introduced me to technology, all this systems, process, procedures. I learned how to do coding, web design, graphic design. They completely added a bunch of skill sets that I didn't even have to my list of value. And because I learned those skill sets, I was able to share that same information he shared with me, put it into action and share it with other people who weren't familiar with it. And I'm really good at communicating and explaining how things work. So once I started coming to Atlanta, I saw all these amazing Black entrepreneurs in Atlanta killing the game, but they weren't really leveraging tech. So I start introducing to the tech to them, and they start making 10 times more money, 20 times more money, just off the little small things that they were missing because I learned it from my mentor. So that's how I really blew up in Atlanta, by helping some of these high-level influencers, online businesses, helping them on the back end. And nobody would ever know that I'm the one that's actually running the play on the back end, because for me, it wasn't about the notoriety. For me, I like the back end work. And the only reason I'm more so on the front end now is because Clubhouse, a lot of people I helped with their business, they start letting people know that Matty J was the one that was doing all the work, and then people start asking for me directly. Yeah, so that was the situation.
Tell me more about this Matty guy.
Right, man, it went crazy. I went from 30,000 followers to 70,000 because of Clubhouse in like 2 months. It was crazy.
No, Clubhouse was the wave. I definitely feel like that's still like an untapped market that we got to figure out how to. I think they kind of dropped the ball a little bit because you couldn't capture the content. Like it was such great gems and great conversations being dropped, and then it would be gone. So it was like a lot of
people. You can save replays now.
They do. I was about to say, now they have the replays, but I think that's why so many people left. So we got to kind of bring back that momentum back to Clubhouse. Yeah. But
facts.
When you talk about like helping people out, right, and you were going through that journey, you were monetizing some of your gifts with that. But what's like the first thing or first gift you realized, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting paid for this? Like for me, I love to speak. I've always been a speaker. I've always, like, even in church or growing up at family functions, I'm the one, oh, let me say it, let me do it. I can memorize it and never and I was never shy about it, right? And I didn't realize until I was almost 25, oh, wait, I can make money off of doing something I genuinely love that I'm gifted at. So that was like my aha moment. What was like the first gift that you monetized and you were like, I can't believe people paying me for this?
I'll tell you, it was when I was in high school. I used to sell candy. I actually got the moniker name, the Candy Man, spelled it with a K. And I love candy. I love, to this day, I have a horrible sweet tooth. And I bought candy for myself. And then once I started bringing all this candy, people start asking for it. And I realized I could start selling the candy. So I got really good at selling candy because I liked it for myself. And it became like a domino effect after that, because through selling candy in high school, I learned how to negotiate, which is a skill I have now. I learned how to communicate value. I knew how to do accounting. I learned how to be charismatic, right? I learned how to make sure I protect my assets, because it got to a point where selling candy wasn't allowed in high school. And I had people trying to steal my candy out my locker. I had my deans trying to confiscate all that. I learned all those skills really early, 16, 15 years old, selling candy, which sprung off of the fact that I loved eating it for myself, which is what I mentioned before. I aligned my self-interest with the public interest. I wasn't the only one who loved candy. There's hundreds of people on that campus that love candy as well. And I volunteered to say, okay, I'll be able to be the supplier for the demand as long as everybody's fairly compensated. And that's what a business is. That's all a business is, right? Being fairly compensated for a want or need in a marketplace.
I was going to ask that. So, entrepreneurship is growing, especially after the pandemic hit. Everybody's trying to, start a business or monetize their gifts. Like, what's some things that if you've never stepped foot in entrepreneurship and you don't know where to start, you don't know what your business could be, what's some things that you could give or some advice you can give to somebody who's looking to actually pinpoint what their gift is or what they should be starting to do?
Yeah, the first thing I'll do is make sure they do a self-assessment test. In order for you to know what your gifts are, you got to know yourself. But in order to know yourself, you got to interview yourself. So a lot of times we spend time talking to other people, asking them questions, but we never really ask ourselves questions. And we definitely don't ask ourselves the right questions. So I actually created a framework called Splash. I think we talked about it before, where you're allowed to self-evaluate what you've been through in the past. So I believe strongly that in order for us to know where we're going, we have to know where we've been at. like a GPS system. The GPS can't tell us how to get to our destination unless it knows where we're currently at. And it also uses data to know where you've been to help you with the proper route. So for somebody who's looking to tap into identifying their gift, they have to self-evaluate, meaning they have to know everything that's happened to them in their life since they were born. So they have to document what type of relationships they've been in, what residences have they lived in, everything that happened in their life, good, bad, indifferent. They should document it, journal it, and then look at that timeline. And you realize that timeline is their story. And once you know your story, you'll be then able to package that story and sell it. No different from a documentary, no different from an artist, a rapper. All a rapper does is document their experiences and put it on paper, get in the booth and sing that story, rap that story on a beat. And then because it's packaged up, they can now sell it via iTunes, Spotify, all those different things, right? That's all it is. We don't got to overcomplicate anything. It's literally us being observant of our story, documenting the process, maybe in an entertaining way, maybe in an educational way, maybe in a motivational way, inspirational way, however way you want to package the story, at least know your story and then realize you can turn your past into your cash, your pain into your profit.
I was just about to say that, and that makes everything that you've been through make sense and less intimidating. Like sometimes we go through life and we realize like, dang, my life been hard, or it's just been obstacle after obstacle. But like you said, once you do a self-assessment, you'll realize, oh wait, I can make profit off this pain. Or I know it's a lot of people that have been through this that's trying to figure out how to get through it. And I made it through it. So like you said, taking the time to do that self-assessment can like open your eyes to so many ways that you leaving plays on the table, money you could be making. You know what I'm saying?
So many opportunities.
So what were we about to say? You was about to say something, Manny?
No, I'll say I had somebody, one of the security guards, a lady at Atlantic Station, her son got shot in Miami. Like innocent bystander got shot. And she's been documenting the process since day one of her flying to Miami, his progress. And she recently posted, she don't got no followers. She posted the progress of her son now walking again, and it got 18,000 likes. And she reached out to me and said, wow, all these people want to support me. Matt, because she knows this is what I do. She said, Matt, what can I do with all this attention I'm not getting? This is now your opportunity to serve, right? During the process of her son getting shot, she kind of got into some deep depression, right? But she allowed her documenting the process and sharing the story to be therapeutic. Therapeutic enough for other people who went through something similar to ask, yo, how are you doing it, right? How are you getting through the fact that your son got shot? What type of mindset? What are you eating? What foods are you eating? What's your daily routine? What's your schedule like? All those questions now gave her the opportunity to be an educator. And through that education, she can now receive compensation, right? And most people look at unfortunate events as an obstacle. Like, why is this happening to me? No, we should be very grateful it's happening to you because you now have the opportunity and you actually have the responsibility to help others now that you've been through that situation that people are struggling through. So that's the different way to look at things. And I've seen it from my own experience. I've seen it with others, and most recently, I've seen it with the sister named Shanae, in which her son got shot. Now she's going to create her book on how to be able to deal with that tragic situation that she went through.
Yeah, a lot of times, like you said, we spend so much time soaking in the why is this happening to me? But like you said, we should take a second to say, thank God this is happening to me. It made me stronger. Or what is this happening to me for? What am I supposed to be learning from this experience, whether it be for my own personal development and my own personal growth, or the personal development opportunity for me to serve others. And then like you document it right, it can pay you off. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Now you talk a lot, like we're talking a lot about like being compensated for our gifts. And I know you are very, I would say have a very strong connection to God and your higher being. So, cause you speak so freely about it and you talk so much on social media about your relationship with God, which I love cause I'm starting to share that side of myself with my audience more. And I realize like, it's not enough of us as influencers or popular entrepreneurs and people in the industry that are talking about our relationship with God and how God has brought us to where we are and blessed us with the things that we have. So like, have you always had that relationship with God? Like is that your upbringing or how did you start to build that relationship?
Yeah, it was definitely the foundation of my family is definitely spiritual. However, as I became an adult, I had to start doing a little bit more research for myself so I can have that real relationship versus just traditional, like following traditions and only going to church because that's what we're doing every Sunday, just going to church. Yeah. So after I started studying for myself, I started to understand why it's important to focus on the spiritual matters, not the physical matters. I've always realized that personal development allows us to have business development. Mm-hmm. So I knew I need to focus on the inner, right? But it can't just be skin deep. It can't just be to the skin, the inner. It has to go to the spirit. So I was like, all right, if I want to develop my spirit, where do I need to go to? Because I know if I need to study business, I need to go to the sources that teach about business. I want to talk about personal development. I need to go to the sources that teach personal development. But where do I need to go to develop my spirit? I need to go to the source. So the book that I subscribe to in my faith and Christian faith is the Bible. That I need to go to that source. And in that source, I started realizing, dang, that's what I'm doing wrong. That's what I'm doing wrong. I start to realize all the things that's causing certain consequences in my life, right? Certain results in my life, the good, bad, and the different. For the things that were doing good, I needed to double down and do even better, right? The things I was doing bad, I need to eliminate it and transition out of it. And I was able to do so with, of course, the help of my spiritual family. So when we go to church, the other members and believers are your brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And there's no better support system in this world than a place where you're around like-minded, like-missioned, like-interest people who are looking to get to the same place. So spiritually, all of us are trying to get to heaven. Not trying, we will get to heaven. But while we're on this earth, we need to prepare ourselves for that position here. We don't go to heaven and we just change. We change here and prepare ourselves for it. So that was my mission. And because it just makes so much sense business-wise, it's so easy to talk about it. Like it just makes sense.
No, it's facts. And I always tell people like your business is only going to grow as much as you do. On a personal level, if you personally don't continue to feed yourself, like you said, mentally, physically, spiritually, your business can't grow past you. So like you said, and that source has to be there. And like you say, it's so important to build that community, whether it be going to church. For some people out there, like I had to, like I grew up in the church, but I had to refine my connection with God as an adult after working in the strip club, after being in such secular, different environments and being detached from that, after working on the radio every Sunday and not being able to go to church. I'm like, where do I go to have these conversations and build with people like that? So even if you don't have a church home, I found my church home on YouTube. I know that sounds crazy.
I know that sounds crazy. In this digital world, it don't sound crazy.
But some of my favorite pastors, I have never set foot into their church physically, but I attend their churches weekly via YouTube because I can stay connected, but then also building that community with like-minded people, like you said, spiritual sisters and brothers in the faith. Like I continue to have conversations with people like you or David Shands, or I have a couple other friends that like whenever we're around, they're not afraid to throw God in the conversation because you just never know where or who might need what out of that conversation. So I feel like you can create church or create that community, you know what I mean, with people and have these like-minded conversations and continue to grow.
Facts. I just wish, I mean, it's really our fault. When I say our fault, it's our responsibility to help people realize that this is the play. We make it look cool. As influencers, it's a lot of people just need to see somebody they can relate with running the plays so they can have a motivation to do it as well.
And honestly, that's why I created Higher Being Society, because I'm like, there's no place for us young millennials that's doing it, but also like trying to level up in every way to talk about and have real conversations about growing spiritually, physically, financially, mentally. Like all of these are pivotal to us developing and becoming the best version of ourselves. But
Correct.
when we talk about growing spiritually, and this is no right or wrong answer, but I definitely wanted to ask you, because you're always telling us how to monetize our gifts and make money and profit off of our God-given talents. And this is just me playing devil's advocate. I'm like, are we supposed to be monetizing off of all of our gifts? Like, I know God in the Bible, it says God wants us to live a life of abundance, and our gifts will make room for us. But then part of me feels like, if it's a gift and God gave it to us as a gift, are we not supposed to be a blessing and give that gift back free? Like, where do you feel like, what is your
That's an
take on that?
interesting concept. I've never heard that before. That's dope. So for me, free. Well, if we're talking about economics, free means no charge, right?
Yeah.
And I do believe that certain things should be given freely, 100%. However, when it comes to certain things that you've been gifted with, in order for it to scale and do things at a large rate, sometimes there needs to be some type of funding, whether you charge the receiver of the gift or you find some other third party, fourth party, fifth party financiers to help you with the process. Mm-hmm. So for example, nonprofits, right? Nonprofits, their job is to help gift the needy, whether it's clothes, education, resources, whatever the case may be. And they typically get funded their money from donors, right? So it's free for the ones who are receiving the gift. However, somebody was able to infuse capital to make sure that the business is able to be ran, even though it's a nonprofit, right? It's called a nonprofit business. That means money is being circulated. However, not for reasons self-interest, not for feeding somebody else's stomach and one person's pockets. It's to make sure that there's resources available. So that's the type of business I'm actually in. I like running businesses where there's unique ways to have it funded. So for those who are needy, they don't have to worry about any financial burden to get the things that they need. So there's actually a corporation that most people don't know about. They've heard about C Corps, S Corps, but B Corps is a corporation was specifically made for the interest of other people. So it's not a nonprofit. However, that a specific B Corp, that job is to make sure that whatever business they're doing is for the people, and that they're gonna do it in the most innovative way to make sure that whatever gets done for the people is done at a very high level. And that's the way I like to operate. And a lot of my mentors and people I look up to operate in that same way, like Elon Musk. I love the way he operates and why he does what he does.
No, that's super dope. I didn't know anything about a B Corp. I'm like, I gotta Google. What do you need to qualify for a B Corp?
Yeah, a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know. Again, it all depends on what type of character and personality you have. Like, I'm really big on being resourceful. Mm-hmm. And B Corps are made for nurturers, people who like to nurture, who like to give, who like to be philanthropists, who like charity without the nonprofit aspect of it, right? Nonprofit is a little bit different. Again, but that's a whole nother topic because a lot of these corporations are set up for tax purposes. Right. But B Corp, for those who don't know, that's definitely the play for those who like to have charitable offers within the business. But to answer your question directly, I 100% believe that we should have services that are offered freely, but in order for you to scale, it still needs to be funded some way, somehow.
No, facts. And I feel like I kind of decided that what I was going to do to avoid like pimping out my gifts, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you don't want to do that.
I don't want to pimp them out to the point, well, even pimping out the gifts that God gave me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, I'm making so much profit off of them, but I'm like, all right, let me tithe like 10% of my gifts. You know what I mean? To people, let me give it away freely. So while I might have a structure of a system set up where I'm going to make profit off something, now I'm like, let me add 10% of it, or it's going to be free. I'm just going to give this away to the audience of value, which is why I'm doing my revival week next week, like a full week of free content where we talking and having conversations that are fully free for everybody to join and grow and learn together. So I'm like, if you like to talk, you need 10% of the time, you need to be talking for the benefit of others without profiting for yourself. You know what I mean?
That's what everybody should be doing for sure.
Before you go, Matty, I want to ask you, what is some advice or that you would give somebody that is getting ready to or wants to tap into the highest version of themselves?
Kind of talked about it already. I think self-evaluation. So I have a model called the 3 C's of impact. If anybody really wants to create impact in this world, you need 3 things. The first C is a community. The second C is a course, education, some type of educational program, whether it's in the form of a book, videos, audio. The last one is conferencing, meaning a place to gather. So if you really want to create impact, you have to have some type of message or a philosophy or belief that gathers people together, and you meet on a weekly basis, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. That's the conferencing. But as people gather, there needs to be some type of growth, which goes back to the course aspect. And whether that course has educational value, entertainment value, inspirational value, whatever it is that allows somebody to grow within the community, that part is key. And I think for those who are moving as individuals, we're not really going to create the impact that we need unless we have those 3 C's: community, course, and conferencing. So that's the message I'm pushing out in 2022. Personal development will attract the right people, will attract you to be able to impact their lives through those 3 C's.
That's super dope. All right, y'all. Mr. Matty J himself. Matty, tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and anything you got coming up you want them to say.
Most definitely. You can find me on CEOMATTYJ on all the platforms. And I'm definitely interactive on there. If anybody wants to follow me and follow the messages I share, that's the place to do it at.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Higher Being Society. Hopefully it gave you some necessary gems, tools, and things that you need to continue to elevate into your very best version of yourself. I'm your host, Bree Renee, straight from the A. Make sure you following Higher Being Society on Instagram, TikTok, liking, commenting, and subscribing to this channel so you don't miss any more of these videos, y'all. We growing and elevating together over here in the Higher Being Society. Until next time, see you later.